somewhere else in the body because you didn't address the root cause of the issue.
Okay. And so what have you noticed as being some of the root causes of some of the issues? Is it trauma? Is it like diet? What are some of the things that you've noticed?
A little bit of both of those things.
Okay.
So I would say emotions are at the top of that. Diet is key, addressed at the beginning. So I'll give you an example. If someone has fibroids at an emotional root is nursing a hurt from a partner or a blow to your feminine ego. And that's just something that somebody did or said, usually in childhood, that made you feel as though you weren't enough. You didn't matter. You didn't count.
Right.
You're not worthy. And so as a result, if you do all the work eating right, and you feel like your healing has been halted, it's usually because we don't go back to address the emotional baggage that's associated with what we have going on.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay.
But diet is key. Like, a lot of people think it's just diet, but emotions are super important when it comes to healing. And at the forefront of my services, that is what I focus on. So even though I'm a non-traditional therapist, if you will, because I usually do my therapy on my vaginal steaming pot, I don't do what everybody else does. So I'm sitting at your feet. I'm addressing your emotional issues with you. We're going to talk about what you're dealing with from an emotional perspective. So everything that people come in with a presenting problem of, I address that from an emotional perspective. This is what that means. So what does that bring up for you? So if you have fibroids and I said, what does nursing a hurt from a partner look like for you? Or what blow to your feminine ego have you experienced? It takes them back to a place or a time or some sort of memory.
Right.
And so from there, they're able to release because now they know what it is they need to release. So that's what makes the service that I provide very unique for the experience, because vaginal steaming is very trendy. But they're like, I didn't know I was going to get all of that. So it's like our second subconscious. Everything that we've ever experienced, it's stored there.
Right.
So until we release those things that are energetic and emotional blocks, we can't completely find healing.
Okay. So with the womb therapy, is that something that you would suggest that people do on a regular basis, or is it just when something comes? Okay.
So we take in all kinds of environmental toxins on a daily basis, from our grooming products to the air we breathe, from the pesticides and toxins that are in food. So it's a great way on a physical level to release toxins through our largest organ, which is our skin, also known as your third kidney. So it's always times they choose to come. For me as a practitioner, I just say at least once a month is good practice. Okay. To kind of get those toxins removed. You feel good on a physical level, but then also we're addressing that emotional stuff, which can take years. As a therapist, you know that it doesn't happen in one session.
Of course not. Yeah, but people moving forward to actually take that step. Have you noticed any resistance when people come in about like, oh my gosh, you were about to be whatever in my womb,
They're not, because the vaginal, let me break down to you guys what vaginal steaming is. So in my method, we use an open seat with a pot that's beneath it, steeping a specific herbal blend for what you have going on. So if somebody has trouble conceiving, if somebody has endometriosis or repeat chronic bacterial or fungal, from your neck all the way down to your feet. And so you're getting a full body sweat. It's like being in a personal sauna, if you will.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, so with that experience, they're not afraid because it's very painless. It's literally just steam hitting your vaginal area, and people are like, oh my God, this feels so good. Like, I don't want to get up. So we can turn it down, we can turn it up. Some people like it hotter than others. And then some people I've experienced some people who are going through a lot of emotional issues. Right. The steam can be too much for them. Like, it can be on a very low setting, but it'll feel like it's burning to them, and that's because of all of that tension that's in that area that they need to address.
And so, like, what do you notice that you tend to do in those moments where you notice that the steam is too much because they have so much emotional? Is that where you continue to walk them through, kind of like the talk therapy while they're getting the womb therapy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I ask them, what is it? What is that right there? Because it brings up tears because it moves the chi in your body. So stuff that you've had stored and it's been stagnant for a long time, that steam gets things moving, and people are like, we just got started. I haven't even said a word. I'm about to cry. Like, why am I? And I'm like, it's moving your chi. Like, don't be freaked out. You've been holding on to stuff, and they know most people know exactly what it is that they're holding on to. Anger at parents. Old relationships that didn't work out that they woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's just like, we have to learn to let go.
Right. Okay. And so, How long does the process usually take? Is that like a 30-minute process?
It's a 60-minute service. The vaginal steaming is a 60-minute service.
And so you're getting steam for like 60 minutes?
About 45 of those minutes.
Okay.
When it's your first session, we come in, we go over your intake form, we address everything that's listed in there, and then you get on the pot. You get caped and you get on the pot. You actually hold crystals during the session.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we amplify that energy.
Okay.
I allow people to set intentions. That's huge for me because it would be remiss of me to have you sit here, you're completely open,
right,
and then not say what you intend for this session. So what do you want to call in? What do you want to see manifest in your life? And more importantly, what do you need to release?
Right.
Because we're holding on to too much stuff.
Amen.
We're holding on to too much stuff. And we think we're the only one.
Right.
So there's, as a therapist, as you know, we don't dump on our clients.
Right.
But when we know that there's an opportunity for us to share and say, you're not alone in this.
Right.
I use those moments of transparency to let people know I've been there before. I've experienced that before.
Right.
And that brightens people up because it's like, I'm sitting in front of this perfect person. No, ma'am, you're not. No, ma'am,
it's usually something that leads us to these particular fields. You know, like some kind of life experiences or whatever that leads us to, decide to help people in that way.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm definitely in agreement about how much we carry in our wombs and everything else. And I remember having a friend who had endometriosis, and I guess they found out late, and how devastating it was for her to have the hysterectomy because she hadn't had children.
Right.
And then kind of looking back, because now we have more advances, and she was like now second guessing because there's a lot of intimidation, I think, in the medical field about this is the only way that you can be healed.
Right. It's part of that is their ignorance. They don't understand the body and how the lymphatic system works and how the kidneys work and filter. But part of it is because we don't know, and that's the basis for my whole platform, is because we're not educated and informed. We can't make an informed decision. You know, when you go to the doctor and they're saying, okay, you're at stage 4 cancer, we look at that as a death sentence.
Right.
And we're like, okay, I missed it. It was too late. And what happens? Those people usually die.
Right.
The reality is cancer is just a damaged cell. So if we looked at it from that perspective, I think more people would be survivors of cancer, because if we can get that acid that's burning that cell up, that's causing and creating it to be damaged, we would have a different outlook on the healing process.
Right.
You know, and understand that detoxification can definitely help with that. So, for example, with endometriosis, it's a lot of acidity in the womb area as a result of the things that people are eating. When I go over an intake form and I interview people and say, what are you eating? Are you eating a lot of dairy? Well, no. So I have to get specific.
Yeah.
Do you eat ice cream?
Yeah.
Do you eat cheese? You know what I mean? Because people think I don't eat.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
not
drink
drinking
milk.
Yeah.
And so they automatically think, like, I don't take in a lot of dairy, but it's in everything.
Right.
And I had to learn that the hard way because my son had a dairy allergy when he was born. And so whenever I try to begin giving him snack foods, I couldn't give him anything off the shelf.
Wow.
Because it all has soy, wheat, milk, and eggs. Just about anything in a box does.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's definitely diet. So if we get that person, what usually has to happen is I have to get that person on an herbal protocol, get them to detox their body, get their kidneys filtering, wake their adrenals up. The adrenal glands are the brains of the kidney. Wake those adrenal glands up so that the kidneys can crack open and begin to filter. Once we start getting the acid to leave the body the way it's supposed to, that's when we begin to see people truly find healing. You release a lot of weight when you start getting those kidneys filtered.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that.
You get increased energy levels. Like, you really can feel the difference in your body once you get going.
And so how long is your detox kind of protocol that you usually do? Does that differ with people or situations or what have you as far as the detox protocol that you use with people?
So when people sign up, it's usually for a 30-day program with me.
Okay.
But it's going to go far out past those 30 days.
Okay, gotcha.
My group detox program is generally put in place to get people to jumpstart this lifestyle of detox, is what I call it. Because you have to be more mindful of what you're putting in. Now, I'm not the extremist. I do believe people should be extreme and cut out meat and but that's not everybody's desire. So I go with what people want to do, what's easiest for them, what works for them, what they're comfortable with. And so, but for that 30-day time period, I do say for the next 30, 60, 90 days, I really want you to try your best to come off of the meat, to come off of the dairy, to consume mostly fruit, because fruit is the highest vibrational food on the planet.
Okay, gotcha.
And it is what does the most healing. There's so many myths about fruit. It's so high in sugar, it's fattening, all that stuff is false. Fructose is, your body knows what to do with that. It breaks it down, it stores the energy, it knows what to do. But you have this keto diet and all this crazy stuff that creates sickness. Like, nothing healthy comes from meat.
Okay.
At all. Like, how can something dead give you energy? That's what I always try to, get people to wrap their minds out around. And I also say, when you eat Thanksgiving dinner, what do you have to do? Like, immediately after you eat, you got to go take a nap.
Right.
And that's because we put like 15 different foods in our body. Our body doesn't know what to start processing first. Everything has a different processing time. And so what that does is it neutralizes everything, and it leaves the food sitting there waiting for parasites to come by and eat things up.
Ew.
Because we neutralize the acids that were supposed to then come in and do something. So we don't, as a country, we don't understand the power of simple food combining. Certain things shouldn't be combined, and that's usually meat and breads. What is this country known for? Sandwiches. Of every kind. And so those things left behind build up old fecal matter along the colon walls, and it's what's stored years and years and years of poop stored on the colon walls just by poor diet, and then our kidneys not filtering and our other eliminative organs shutting down as a result of that.
Okay. Well, we're going to be back in a few moments. I want to thank Miss Brantley Mrs. Brantley. And we'll be back in a few more moments with Miss Penny's Thoughts, talking about womb health and womb therapy.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So that was 1351.
Okay.
You want to jump back in?
What question do you want to ask? Which way you want this to go?
Well, you told a little bit about the service, but we didn't go into that.
You want me to talk more about how I got into the service? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. In 3, 2.
Hi, welcome back to Miss Penny's Thoughts. We have Nicole Brantley, MSW, and also certified womb therapist. We're going to continue our conversation about womb health, and wanted to talk to you more about like what made you specifically get into womb therapy, coming from the social work background.
All right, so I got pregnant, and 3 months in, I got laid off from my job.
Wow.
So I was devastated, of course, like, my first baby, oh my God, how did I lose my job? But anyways, long story short, it was like, when I look back hindsight, I was like, it had to happen that way. I was sick as a dog. Like, I was sick the entire time, vomiting, lost weight. I was smaller than I was.
Started?
Yes. Everybody's like, what? Pregnancy did that to you? I'm like, yeah, long story. But during that time, I could not use any soap on prior to that, but I could not use any soap on my vagina. Like, everything irritated me, broke me out, made me feel, funny down there. And it was because of the ingredients, the chemicals that are in traditional commercial soaps that are out there on the market. So I'm searching the internet probably about a year prior to that, and I found this lady in North Carolina that made a soap. And so I would order. She wasn't in Charlotte. She was in another town in North Carolina. So I would order this soap from her.
Okay.
So I was just being proactive, like, let me just go ahead and order about 6 bars, and that way by the time my hospital bag is ready to be packed, I'll still have soap, that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, she sent me my money back, and she sent me a note back and said, I'm no longer making this soap, and I don't know when I'll start making it again. And I was
wow.
What? Like, everything.
Send me the ingredients, please help me.
Everything breaks me out. So I did ask that. I'm like, well, is there any way that you would make it for me to be able to sell? Because at that time, I did have a business called Whipped Essentials where I sold all natural skin and hair products.
Okay.
And she was like, no, that's not something that I'm willing to do. So I was like, okay. So I heard Spirit very clearly said, make it yourself. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to have a newborn. I'm going to be trying to figure out these, like, this.
Yeah, the recipe and everything else. Yeah.
Long of the short, I started calling soap makers. I started calling chemists. I would call up to, soap supply companies, speak to people who I could speak to that, knew this information that I was looking for. Because my whole thing was, this is the vagina. Like, you need to know what you're doing.
Right.
You just can't be putting anything in a bar and a soap. Like, can I, so I got my questions answered based off of what I learned. I created my formula, and my soap was actually my very first product. But in doing the research for this, like when I would be online, Googling certain words or phrases, I started finding all these articles around womb health and wellness or vaginal health and wellness, and I'm like, nobody talks about this.
Right.
I found myself not knowing some of the things that I was reading. Like, how come I didn't know this about my vagina? Like, I'm a grown woman in my 30s. Like, this is not good. So I'm like, nobody's really talking about this. So I was like, oh my God, I really should, and then my negative chatter came in like, girl, you are a therapist. Who are you to tell people about their vaginas? So, I just felt like it was kind of following me. Everywhere I would turn, I was like, oh God. So I was like, all right, I need to figure out how I'm going to get this word out.
Right.
So I was like, what is the most comfortable thing that you can do that makes you feel like you're getting it out, but you're not telling people what to do?
Right.
So I created a Facebook group. And I had already come up with the name Fresh, which stands for Feminine Restoration, Education, and Solutions for Women's Health, because I was thinking about doing some other stuff.
Right.
And so I had the name, I had the mission statement, and everything just happened to line up with this. So I create the page, I'm sharing information, I'm sharing articles, and I would say about a month in, I had people inboxing me or calling me saying, wow, like this is a safe haven for women. Like women were able to express their thoughts in the comments, ask questions. If I didn't know the answer, I was finding articles, I was reaching out to people. And they just like, I figured out that I had all of these symptoms and now I know I have endometriosis. Or I thought, my doctor told me I had phantom pain. But when you posted about X, Y, and Z, it let me know that this is really what I'm suffering from. So people really appreciated the information.
Right.
They felt like it was a safe space, and that is what gave me the confidence to keep going on forward and moving in that direction. So shortly after that, I was introduced to the company that I got my certification from for my vaginal steaming. Okay. And then the doors just kept opening. And so I had tried cloth pads for myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I was looking on your website, and I think last year you may have did something in regards to making a switch or something like that.
Yes, Ditch the Disposables campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
So I made the switch for myself, and I was a 7-day bleeder. For the first 2 days, bent over in pain, wanted to be in the dark, didn't want to go to work.
Right.
I made the switch, and the experience was totally different.
Just from changing?
Just from switching pads. And so what I educated myself on and learned through that process was that the toxins that are found in our commercial traditional pads, acetone and all kinds of stuff, acetone, dioxin, which is a carcinogen, like all of that stuff, flame retardants, like all kinds of disgusting stuff.
So you're gonna burn up down? I mean, what in the world?
I know. So I was like, oh my gosh, so cloth pads were not my idea. There are tons of people out there, if you Google cloth pads, that sell them. So I came up with my own pattern, and then I had 2 seamstresses that were working for me. Well, they got burnt out because it was a lot of work to cut, all that stuff. So I then found me a cut and sew manufacturer that were able to whip 200, 2,000, whatever I needed up at a time. And so that's how my cloth pads came into production. And I began to educate women on ditching the disposables and what it meant to ditch the disposables and why you wouldn't want to put these chemicals in your body and why cervical cancer is not a coincidence. Because all that stuff is going into your bloodstream.
And as you said, the third kidney, because it's touching your skin.
Absolutely.
Because if it's nothing else, it's touching your skin.
Right.
And so,
tampons are the worst. They sit in your thinnest tissue, which is your vaginal tissues, for hours, flooding your bloodstream. Why it catches the blood, and your blood is not meant to be restricted like that. It's meant to flow. Yeah. And so toxic shock syndrome is because of the chemicals. People, depending on how acidic your body is, when you flood all of that toxicity in there, if it takes you over the edge, that's when toxic shock syndrome comes into play. So just educating women, and people are like, some people are either open to it or they're like, I'm not giving up my tampons. I don't like to wear pads. I feel wet or whatever.
Okay, so explain to me more about the cloth pads.
So
just for my curiosity, if anyone else wants to know.
So they're made, my particular pads are made from cotton flannel, and then there's certain layers in between of different kinds of flannel that actually catch. I also have a layer in my pads that are in cloth diapers, so your blood will never penetrate through the other side.
Oh, okay, because that's the thing, that will make, I'm like, cloth, but on that heavy day, would it,
confident. But the thing is, when you make the switch, it lightens and shortens your cycle.
Just automatically.
Automatically.
Wow.
Just because those toxins are not trying to rush out and, like your body, when we're on our menstrual cycle, that is a time of our body getting rid of waste. So if we're putting more
waste almost in
toxicity in there, that's where the heavy bleeding comes from. That's where there was so many women who came to me and said, Nicole, I thought that achy feeling or that pulley feeling in my vaginal area was normal. But when I made the switch to your pads, I don't feel that anymore. But it was the toxins. They were having an allergic reaction to what's in the pads chemically.
Wow. And so they're disposable as well?
They're washable, reusable.
Oh, okay.
They actually last a year longer if you follow the wash care instructions.
Okay, so is there like, because I remember seeing back in the day, like my mom had one of those pad hook things or whatever. Like, how does that work?
They actually have wings on them.
Okay.
They have wings and snaps.
Okay.
So they sit right.
They snap together.
They snap right into place.
Because I was like, we're gonna have to have the semi-garter thing going on to hold it in place.
We ain't going that far back, but we're taking it back. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, when we think about it, all of this new age, this new technology, all this new stuff that comes into the market, you know, it often doesn't benefit us. Like, think about how we ate before all this processed food came into markets and everything was now in the shelf versus around the perimeter of the store, and it was just fruits and vegetables and simple things. That's when our problems came in, when we start getting fancy and creating technology.
Okay, so I have just a question that kind of came up. So I've seen the cup thing too. So what's the difference with the cup and
my pads?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know they're different, but
if you're not a pad wearer, I definitely recommend the cup. So it's medical grade rubber or silicone, and you actually kind of fold and insert it, and it catches the blood.
Okay.
So it's a better option than a tampon because it's not sitting there blocking the flow.
It's just allowing
actually
it
up
and just
in
catching.
There, and it's just catching.
Okay.
So you literally pull it out, you know, kind of squat and pull it out when you want to dump, and you can rinse and just put it right back in. So people find that convenient. They don't have to throw out a pad. They don't have anything disposable.
And save a lot of money.
And they save a lot of money because that cup can last you up to a year or longer.
Okay.
So yeah, so the benefit of cloth pads, even switching to the cup, lighter, shorter cycles. So most people go from 7 days or 5 days down to 4, some even 2 days. I had a person who was a very strict vegan. She actually said she only bleeds 1 day now.
And I was reading, because I used to be more interested in holistic health back in the day, and then I don't know what happened, but that we aren't supposed to have cycles for so long. That has to do with our diet and stuff as well.
And our level of toxicity. That's very true. I watched a video of some women who live out in Costa Rica, and when they left the States and moved there, after 2 months, most of them, they no longer get a cycle.
Wow.
And that's because they're eating off of the land. They're out in nature. They're not breathing all of these environmental toxins in because they often don't live anywhere near cars and things like that. So the things that are filling us up with toxicity, and we still have a cycle around, they don't.
Wow.
So environment is huge when it comes to that. So that's very true.
Wow, that is really interesting. Wow, okay. So I'm just want to get really, really clear. So the pads, once again, you would get, like, how many would you suggest someone's
So they come in either 6 or 12. 12 is ideal. You
Okay.
wash less, but some people can't afford to get 12 all at once, so they'll get the 6 and start there and just wash more.
Okay, so if you're just having them switched, is that something that you also, like, include a detox plan with as well, or do you just kind of, for people just want to switch, that's something that they can do individually?
Yeah, they do. Most people do that individually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so are you still doing your soap?
I am.
Okay.
It was my first product. I sell it by the dozens. People buy it by 4, 6, 8, and 12. So yeah.
And so if we were going down a product list of the things that you sell to assist with facilitating womb health, what are they?
I would say my soap, number 1. I have an all-natural deodorant that I do not make, but that I carry in my office, or you know, you can come to the office or get it shipped to you.
Okay.
So a natural deodorant free of all chemicals, because when we back up our lymphatic system using antiperspirants, we create Alzheimer's and breast cancer. Because those things need to sweat.
Right.
I also carry allergy bombs. Usually during allergy seasons, you'll see those come out, and that's just essential oils with a natural carrier oil for people to open up their sinuses.
And how would you use the allergy bomb?
You actually just roll it in your hand. You can inhale it.
Oh, the balm. Okay.
Inhale it. You can put it on the back of your neck, the bottom of your feet, along your children's spine, wherever there's a portal. For it to get into the bloodstream. That's how we do that.
And how often would you say the balm? Is that something that you would do, like, morning and evening, or just kind of whenever the symptoms?
As needed. A lot of people have come off of their allergy meds as a result of taking it because of the essential oils, you know, being in their body and things like that. So it's a PRN. It's as needed. Take as much as you need.
Okay.
So, and also the cloth pads.
Okay.
So those would be the list of products. services, I offer fertility massage. I also offer the vaginal steaming. A lot of people get that coupled with my Aroma Touch. Aroma Touch is a technique, as a massage-like technique using essential oils along the meridians of your back and your feet. You also get a scalp massage included in that, and it's just very relaxing. I do it every Tuesday. It's my self-care day. I give out and I pour all week long, so that's my day to give back to myself. So I usually do a vaginal steam, an Aroma Touch, or just something for myself where I'm relaxed and I'm doing something to fill me back up. Reading, you know, like my son's at daycare, or you know, like that's just my me day to fill back up. So Aroma Touch is amazing. I do it for myself every Tuesday, and I also offer. I already said fertility massage, and I also offer ear candling. And that's one of my #1 selling products as of the last 2 months. And that's because a lot of us eat a poor standard American diet, and we have old mucus and toxicity and, you know, everything floating in our heads. And so I educate people around understanding that when that mucus and that toxicity does not, and that acid does not get out, those are things that you can count on giving you Alzheimer's and dementia later on in life. So the ear candling service actually moves earwax buildup and any debris in your ear canal out. It helps with migraines, headaches, vertigo, which is dizziness, tinnitus, which is ringing in the ear. All of those things that are related to anything having to do with mucus in your head. And people find immediate relief. They feel like they're clearer, their ears are more open. They don't feel like their hearing is muffled or anything like that. So it's one of my #1 selling services as of the last 2 months. People are like coming in for it. So.
Wow. Okay. We're going to take another short break, and so thank you for tuning in with Miss Penny Thoughts, WDRB Media, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay. So, how long?
That was 14:29. So you said you were taking a break. So are you gonna do like a 10-second close or something, or how are you gonna do that? Because technically you're ending the show.
Yeah, we're ending
But
the
I mean,
show.
since you said you're taking a break, you can come back for like.
Yeah, just tell them we're gonna continue. Like, tune in
to next week.
Part 2.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2.
Hi, this is Latricia Penny with Miss Penny's Thoughts, and I have my special guest, Nicole Brantley, MSW, and certified womb therapist. We're going to be closing out and come back next week for additional information in regards to womb health and womb therapy, and I will see you soon at WDRB, the voice of the community. Was that cool? All right.
So that's my show.
Okay. All right, so for the next show.
What other questions did you have there? Because I know you had some.
Yeah, but I think we almost covered most of my stuff.
Really?
Yes. So it was like, because we talked about the past, that was one of them. The services, we can get more into the massage and the aromatherapy and maybe the effects of that. And
we can talk about some testimonials. Like, what are some?
And I did want to go more into the air candling because I've had that done before. But explaining more what that is and what the wax does, and you know, or whatever, because it looks weird when you're getting it done.
People think it's witchcraft.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about that.